disorders. Learning how these disorders occur may lead to better therapies in the future. Excessive sleepiness may also be caused by a variety of physical and mental illnesses, as well as some medications. Examples include frequent nighttime urination, gastrointestinal problems, general pain, as well as anxiety disorders. So if you suffer from a medical condition and you are experiencing these symptoms, you may be able to get help from your physician. So how much sleep do we actually need? The amount of sleep a person needs really depends on a number of factors, including age. Infants generally require about 16 hours a day, while teenagers need about 9 hours on average. For most adults, 7 to 8 hours a night appears to be about the best amount of sleep, although some people may need as few as 5 and some as many as 10 hours of sleep a day. Each of us really has a basal sleep need that is different from individual to individual. Also, we don't seem to adapt to getting less sleep than we need. In other words, we may get used to sleep-deprived schedule for the short term, but our judgment, reaction time, and other functions may still be impaired. Also, people tend to sleep more lightly and for shorter time spans as they get older, although generally they need about the same amount of sleep as they did in early adulthood. About half of all people over 65 have frequent sleeping problems, such as insomnia. Deep sleep stages in many elderly people often become very short or completely stopped. This change may be a normal part of aging, or it may result from medical problems that we talked about before that are common in elderly, and from the medications or other treatments for these problems. So experts say that if you feel drowsy during the day, even during boring activities, you really haven't had enough sleep. If you routinely fall asleep within 5 minutes of lying down, you probably have severe sleep deprivation, possibly even a sleep disorder. Microsleeps, or very brief episodes of sleep in an otherwise awake person, are another indication of sleep deprivation. And in many cases, people are not even aware that they're experiencing these microsleeps. So let's talk a moment about the anatomy of sleep. Nerve signaling chemicals called neurotransmitters control whether we are asleep or awake by acting on different groups of nerve cells, or neurons, in the brain. Neurons in the brainstem, which connect the brain with the spinal cord, produce neurotransmitters such as serotonin and norepinephrine that keep some parts of the brain active while we're awake. Other neurons at the base of the brain begin signaling when we fall asleep. These neurons appear to switch off the signals that keep us awake. So research also suggests that a chemical called adenosine builds up in our blood while we're awake and causes drowsiness. And this chemical, adenosine, gradually breaks down while we sleep. During sleep, we usually pass through 5 phases: stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. These stages progress in cycle from stage 1 to REM sleep, and then the cycle starts over again with stage 1. We actually spend almost 50% of our total sleep time in stage 2, about 20% in REM sleep, and the remaining 30% in the other stages. Now, infants, by contrast, spend about half their sleep time in REM sleep. So this slide illustrates some brainwave activity. It shows the 5 sleep stages. During stage 1, it's a light sleep, and we drift in and out of sleep and can be awakened easily. Our eyes move, but very slowly, and muscle activity slows. People who are awakened from stage 1 sleep often remember fragmented visual images. Many also experience sudden muscle contractions called hypnic myoclonia, often preceded by a sensation of starting to fall, and I'm sure we've all had that experience. These sudden movements are similar to the jump we make when we're startled. And it's an odd feeling when we jump ourselves out of sleep at that point. Then when we enter a stage 2 sleep, our eye movements stop and our brain waves become slower, with occasional bursts of rapid waves called sleep spindles. In stage 3, extremely slow brain waves called delta waves begin to appear, interspersed with small, faster waves. By stage 4, the brain produces delta waves almost exclusively. And it's really very difficult to wake someone during stages 3 and 4, which together are called deep sleep. There's no eye movement or muscle activity. And people awakened during deep sleep do not adjust immediately and often feel groggy and disoriented for several minutes after they wake up. Some children experience bedwetting, night terrors, or sleepwalking during this stage of sleep. In general, we can say that when we switch to REM sleep, our breathing becomes more rapid, irregular, and shallow. Our eyes jerk rapidly in various directions, and our limb muscles become temporarily paralyzed. Our heart rate increases and our blood pressure rises. And when people awaken from REM sleep, they often describe vivid dreams. The first REM sleep period usually occurs about 70 to 90 minutes after we fall asleep, and of course these are generalities. A complete sleep cycle takes about 90 to 110 minutes on average, and the first sleep cycle each night contain relatively short REM periods and longer periods of deep sleep. But as the night progresses, REM sleep periods increase in length while deep sleep decreases. And by the morning, people spend nearly all of their sleep time in stages 1 and 2 and REM. Thus, the waking cycle begins. So, how can we improve sleep? Well, there are a number of suggestions. And the first one is to set and keep to a schedule. This means go to bed at the same time each night, wake up at the same time each morning. Disruptions of this schedule may lead to insomnia. Sleeping in on weekends makes it harder to wake up early on Monday because it resets your sleep cycle for a later awakening. And I know most of us have experienced that at some point. Exercise is suggested to improve daytime awake and reduce fatigue. So try to exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day at the minimum. Daily exercise often helps people with sleep, although a workout close to bedtime may interfere with sleep. So do it 5 to 6 hours before going to bed at a minimum. Many people find exercising first thing in the morning to be beneficial. Sometimes the things we eat and drink affect our sleep. So avoid drinks that contain caffeine. We've all heard that. This acts as a stimulant and keeps people awake. Sources of caffeine, of course, include coffee, chocolate, soft drinks, non-herbal teas. Some diet drugs are heavy in caffeine, and some painkillers also have caffeine. Smokers tend to sleep very lightly and often wake up in the early morning due to nicotine withdrawal. And then alcohol robs people of sleep, of deep sleep and REM sleep, and keeps them in the lighter sleep stages, so they're easily awakened during the night. So try to relax before going to bed. Easier said than done sometimes, but a little bit of practice helps. A warm bath, reading, meditation, or other relaxing routines can help make it easier to fall asleep. If you train yourself to associate certain restful activities with sleep, and make them part of your bedtime ritual, this may be helpful. Another suggestion is to sleep until sunlight. If possible, wake up with the sun or use very bright lights in the morning. Sunlight helps the body's internal biological clock reset itself each day. And some sleep experts recommend exposure to an hour of morning sunlight for people having problems falling asleep. Another thing to do is to not lie in bed awake. If you can't get to sleep, don't just lie there. Do something else like reading, watching television, or listening to music until you're tired. But it's very important to do those things away from the bedroom. So you go to another part of the house, perhaps a quiet, dark area, until you feel drowsy. The anxiety of being unable to fall asleep actually contributes to insomnia. I know most of you have probably experienced that, where you toss and turn, look at that clock. You think, oh my gosh, I only have 3 hours left till I have to get up. I only have 2 hours left till I get up. And that actually contributes to not being able to fall asleep. So get up, move to another place, and then again, when you begin to feel drowsy, move back to bed. Control the physical environment as much as possible. Think about your bedroom, and I like to do this little imagery exercise. So if you'll follow along with me for just a moment. Sit quietly, close your eyes, take a deep breath, exhale, breathe normally, and quickly think about your bedroom or sleep space. What are your feelings about that space? Do you feel comfortable and relaxed, or do you feel agitated? If agitated, explore the aspects of your bedroom that may elicit those feelings. Write them down, and then do what you can to make positive changes about the environment. Some suggestions from experts include maintaining a comfortable temperature in the bedroom. So extreme temperature one way or the other can prevent you from falling asleep or disrupt your sleep cycles. So I'd like to share with you now some resources that you can turn to for additional information and help. The National Sleep Foundation, which I've talked about a little bit in this presentation, has some fabulous resources on their webpage at sleepfoundation.org. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke, which is part of the National Institutes of Health, is also a great resource. I've also found some very helpful information on WebMD. So please take advantage of some of these great resources. They're all respected web pages. And hopefully you'll learn something a little bit more about how to avoid fatigue, manage it in your life, and have more complete and successful sleep. I'd also like to encourage you that if you don't have success in managing these issues on your own, please talk to your primary care physician about them. Also, there are sleep clinics in town. Feel free to reach out to those and ask questions and perhaps get an evaluation for more severe sleep problems. At this time, I'd like to thank you for attending our webinar. Please join us again next month. Our presentation for the webinar next time will be Understanding ADHD. You can register in advance by visiting the Loveless Health Plan website and then going to the Wellness Center and clicking on the Classes section. When you see the evaluation come by your email, please take just a couple of minutes to complete that and send it back to us. And again, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Have a great day, and also get a great night's sleep. Goodbye.